Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. This is a 1v1 for you guys against the Sergeant Major Wonth, who is a quite good player, I'd say, especially for Sergeant Major. Definitely needs to be a higher rank than that. And, well, never let it be said that I don't post my hard games without any other spoilers. We do actually have Wonth and Bikefish, both players from Boot Camp, with us here today. As we get on the way, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hello, I'm One.
And you were my Op 4 for this game. How did that make you feel?
I don't know. You said that it was a good warm-up game. It's a warm-up game for rookie tournament and such.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's an interesting thing in this game, in Wargame in general, to try to learn decks that you've just straight up never played before. And Eastern Block's one of those for me where I've always been interested by it. And every single time I've made a deck, it just looks so horrible when I'm done, I can't even think about it. And so this was one of those times where I built the deck and I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe this is something I can work with. And so I naturally went and found a Sergeant Major and thought, well, okay, I can probably pick on this guy, right? And we'll see how that goes. But I was opening up into Boris. My intention was to hold this side decently well, and then not have you get too much success over in Dimitri. What was your plan for this game?
Yeah, so the plan was I wanted to put the bare minimum I could to just be like a tripwire over in Helena Fedor, and then in the 1-pointer and the 2-pointers, I had the main force going. The 1-pointer was there to just be able to fight back so that I could get picks, things like that, and then the main force of everything I was doing was all there on the side to the 2-pointer, and you can just see like different wheels or tracks or helicopters getting their way over there.
Yeah, and this is something too, like I had a really rough microlapse. I don't know if you caught it earlier. All of my stuff, all my wheels were stopped right here. And that really cost a lot because, you know, my moto stuff going from here versus your moto stuff going from back here, I should get into the town just before you, I think. Reasonably confident of that, and that's very much not what happened. And then you had a brutal follow-up of the Fighting Falcon. That, I saw that plane coming in and I thought to myself, oh no. just oh no. Because this is Komandosi, it's really expensive. They actually survived that better than I thought, but everything behind it got walloped. And then you have Kustjägeri, you have Jägeri 90, Falskrimjägeri, really capable task force in here, going in to secure these sections of town. And I don't know, I was really worried when I saw this. I was sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I don't know how this deck really deals with Kusts, other than sitting back and getting picks with things like the MI-17, which I've always had mixed success with at best. And then, you know, for a bare minimum tripwire force, I think your Boris section really did have a lot of success. The 103D here supporting Stormer, RBS, Falskrimjäger 90. We have different definitions of bare minimum, and I think yours really did help you out there quite a lot. So as this game gets underway, we have to remember Punch Bowl is one of those maps where a lot of people put all of their emphasis on the 2s, on Dimitri and center, and will outright ignore the 1s. And while neither of us is doing that, you can definitely tell I'm more in that mentality right now than Wonth is in terms of investment for like holding forces. But this, like, to me, I think looking at this game, make or break is whether or not once offensive here succeeds. Because if this succeeds and I get pushed out and I can't get back in, that's just a loss. And if I can push you out here, that's not even a loss for you. That's just not as solid of a win necessarily, right? So I was going for an early cap and trying to fend you off there. When this happened, when this situation happened where you only really have the Jägeri 90 here, what was really your thought process on what to buy next, where to go next?
Yeah, so that was, I knew that with the falls and with the Jägeri 90 and the automatic around the side that I had a strong enough thing to kind of hold that foothold into your thing, into your 2-pointer, so that you couldn't just
reclaim it for free
on something else. And if you watch, a lot of my points are actually moving towards Boris in the center to try and get a way to cut off that back road of yours.
Yeah, interesting. That can be really pretty powerful. Like if you take this section of Boris, it's really frightening. People will often do this. If you ever play against Tortique, he usually plays blue Moto, and he'll go right for right here, and then just thread infantry through the whole game. It's so annoying. So it's really interesting to see you go for that, even with fighting over here as well. It definitely was a rough split for my attention. Certainly it was not comfortable.
I think it speaks to how this map in particular really focuses a lot on the, geography of various pieces and how they fit together. Like, I know we haven't quite gotten to a portion that does it yet. I haven't seen this replay, so I don't know if we're going to get there, but the forest in Dimitri is a lot different than it actually looks in terms of how the game is coded. So there's a big patch, and kind of roughly where you had your cursor over there behind the Conquer Squad, that is actually technically part of dense forest and will behave as such. And there's all these little quirks with how roads allow you to get places faster and some such that just makes it a map that having a knowledge and understanding of how units are going to move around can really alter how you're going to play it.
Yeah, 100%. This is all dense forest, even though it doesn't look like it, and line of sight is really screwy because of that. And another thing I just want to add, you'll notice well, I don't know if I should just say you or Wonth, like, because we have Bikefish in here as well. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, my illustrious opponent has not yet captured his 2-point with a CV. I've captained Dimitri, and the second I made this purchase, I actually really regretted it. Because you won this fight, you're moving through, and I have nothing to stop you. I have a promise, I have a landed Mi-24P here, which is landed because there's an automatic somewhere back here with really excellent anti-helo range. And what am I supposed to do against Fallskirmjäger moving through the forest at this point, right? Like, that's really uncomfortable. And then I followed it up with a CV buy in Feder that gets side shot by RBS. And that was so heartbreaking. So I was thinking, you know what? At least if I'm losing these fights, maybe I can tick +3. And yeah, no, not a good decision. Definitely not a good decision. This deck in particular, it takes Commandosi, I believe, in the Mi-17, which is a really expensive card. And if I'd gone for some of those reinforcing in, instead of the CV buy over there, then at least I'd have something in the way to roadblock you. And, Commandosi can fight back reasonably well, too. It would not have been a comfortable experience. Also, I didn't even notice this. Oh, this is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Wonth, why you do this to me, man?
I'm in the trees.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Yeah, no, it was well executed. It was good.
Fighting in those 2-pointers, both of them, infantry is so good because in so many places, especially with the mislabeled dense forest in Dimitri, the forest will extend all the way from one end of it to the other.
Yeah, and you just walk.
So if you get, you just hold shift and then attack move along the curve and you'll walk all the way there. And as soon as something gets close enough to spot you, then you fire. Yeah,
definitely. It can really be quite a pain. Really quite a pain. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Commandosi aren't in the Mi-17. I have my only ATGM in the Mi-17, which is, I know some people take that card unironically. I hate this so much. I'm not doing this ever again. It's like, I really needed an ATGM here earlier, and, well, my Mi-17 got shot down, and now I don't have one. So,
and of course, because it's the Czech ones, we know it's a Conquer's M.
Right.
M is the most expensive, and so you inherently have this massive card that just doesn't add much. And it's not like you're getting veterancy on the card.
Yeah, it's a 70-point card.
You're not getting the veterancy bonus.
For comparison, your Fallskirmjäger 90 in the wheeled transport, that's 80 for a double stack. I'm paying 70 for a single ATGM team in an Mi-17. It's like, yeah, not great. And then this was just throw something in front of the command vehicle, please.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a beautiful push.
Thing to note, because of this and what I was banking on, is I was prepped for the game to take 40 minutes. I had a 40-minute timer, and so just because you were ticking, it didn't mean I had to rush something in immediately. I was really able to cement what I was doing to get a solid position and then start focusing on CVs.
That thought process is exactly why I think it was Lord Pi, and I agree with him, said that you should not be anywhere near Sergeant Major. Time is a resource.
Aw, thanks.
Spend it.
He keeps yelling at me to play more ranked.
Hey, you should.
I'm yelling at you to play more ranked as well.
I prefer not to.
Well, okay,
I
mean,
play Brig Gens.
You and I have the same luck then. I haven't played, like, I see these guys play against privates and corporals and first lieutenants. I'm sitting there going, my last 10, 8 out of 10 have been either Colonel or Brig Gen or Major Gen.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
I know his other ranked games have been featured a lot on this channel, but if anybody's wondering where Striker gets all his elo from, hi.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, Striker actually, he's on my friends list now. So,
Do you do it to Q dodge?
I'm sorry.
You know, as soon as you see that he's online, you avoid queuing ranked for a bit.
Oh no, actually, I've only played
Okay.
Striker twice, and I've won both
Ah.
games.
Oh, okay.
Some people's playstyles just really don't go well together,
It's
and
a favorable matchup for you.
it seems to be. The first game was really tough. Like really tough. I only really won because I got super cheeky with the CV placement, but that game has been casted, is up on the channel. I recommend you take a look at it. It's not what we're interested in right now. What we're interested right now is, well, this game. So, 111 points to 12 is a good lead, but as Once pointed out, it's a 40-minute timer. There's really not as much pressure to cap as potentially I went for. One thing there, the automatic pickup, very nice, 80-point pickoff off of the M4P. And for just a second here, I thought, you know what, maybe if I figured if you were using mostly automatics and things like that, I might be able to use air power decently well here. But then completely whiffing on a 103D, flying right into an LVKV, like, that was a really good seed run, but it's not enough. Because that right there looks like a Heos Hawk.
Yep.
What, that was a Heos?
Yeah, it was a Heos.
Yeah, so comprehensive, multi-layered anti-air, not all of it that's radar. Yeah, that's good. That's how you catch planes out. So, to make up for the automatic kill and the LVKV kill, which summed to 130 points, I lost a 130-point plane. 25k.
The STRV, and this is a bit more of bad luck than good planning.
Yeah.
It ended up living, and later was used to... Well, it sticks around for the rest of the game, basically.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just whiff like that. Like, I used to think that, oh, well, most of my plane buys will probably be successful, and then I double whiffed off of a Peace Rhine twice in a row. That was really heartbreaking. So, you did go after my BMP2K here. I was actually curious because you commented during that it has to be dead, and I did just barely get out alive.
Yeah.
That was entirely something, and this is why I'm actually bringing it up now. If I know you have a Fighting Falcon and you're going to use it, the second I'm spotted, I'm hightailing it. So,
Yep.
It's not going to be where you see it. And if you'd led the duck a little bit, that could have been a kill. Although, at this point, I think you're taking +2 on me. It's cleared out of Boris, not much in Elena. It's very much going your way. But, why have it go your way 10% or 50% if you can make it go your way 100%, right? Just to return briefly to different playstyles, by the way, that's one of the other reasons I think I, in particular, struggle with Eastern Bloc. I have a very inflexible playstyle, which is interesting because, I play a lot of different decks, but I always try to make the decks play the same way. And for Eastern Bloc, I just can't. I love double-stacked M41s. I love cheap and effective line infantry. I love cheap and effective shocks. I take basically no paratroopers, ever. And when I take them, I regret them. So things like that. But what decks do you really lean on mostly when you're playing, ranked or tournaments?
A lot more moto focused. I do Scandi, but this backbone of the Scandi is Fallskärmjäger and Kust, which plays a lot more moto compared to the more normal STRVs that you get with the Swedes and the Stormer CV90s.
Yeah.
And then other than that, Baltic, things such like that really lean into wheels and autocannons.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of my favorite cards in this entire game is in Baltic. It's the Reskazin Korima in a musty truck. Because 60 points, 4 recoilless rifles with 16 AP heat. Yeah. Okay, I'm a fan. But it's interesting that you say that. So Bikefish, the third player is with us in this recording, has a lot more experience, I think, than either me or one, particularly with deck building. And I'm curious what you think about Scandi normal infantry, because I feel like Norlandsjäger is a really common pick as well.
So I mean, the Scandi infantry tab, if we're talking unspec, right, obviously,
yeah,
Scandi, you can run Scandi mech. That's a very competitive deck. It's going to really constrain your infantry selection in a lot of ways. But like, there's a lot of different ways to build the Scandi infantry tab, even in an unspec environment, and none of them are really wrong. As long as you have like Volscreen Augury 90 and your RBS 56s, you can pretty much fill the remaining 3 slots with whatever's gonna best fit what you want to do with the deck. So, Norland's Jogger, really common pick, but if you're not leaning into the wheeled aspect as much, you may find they overlap a lot with the falls, and taking something else will maybe be beneficial. If you want to have better integrated fire support in terms of like just good vehicles for it, Stormer in CV9030, really strong pick for that. But it's the sort of thing where it's like, it's not mandatory if you're going to be playing the deck in such a way where it's just less mech focused and more moto focused.
Gotcha.
But yeah, a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I know people who play Scandi as even unspec'd as this is my 15 strength infantry deck, which is kind of goofy as well.
You can get away with it as well. Like
Yeah.
that's still really solid.
But then you have goofy stuff like the Volscreen 90 just got rolled by some Mochitsen, which was very satisfying. But that approach here was very nice. I mean, this is sort of what I said earlier for when people get this section of town, they'll just thread in through. And yeah, I stopped one of them, but I know there's infantry over here that I can't kill. I know there's infantry over here. By the way, I figured this would probably make you a little bit grumpy during the game, but I had to try. So,
yeah.
Spotted that, make you move it at least buys me some time, buys me a couple of points. And then I figured if I could maybe kill it, because that Conquer's M is actually still alive. Nothing ever spotted it.
There.
Yeah. I think he even takes a shot, I'm not entirely sure. But, yeah, still alive. I had no idea what to do with him. I was trying to get him... I had originally wanted him here, to zone off things there. But I couldn't ever really secure that position, so I ended up just moving him over this way, and the MI-17 died, and I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I can walk him out all the way up and over and into the middle, but I don't control anything over there anymore, so what's the point? We'll just leave him here. I think yeah, was it this? Yeah. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, against the 5-point
swing and a miss.
Browning boxes that the Danes get, I think.
Most worthwhile Conquer's M ever.
Oh, yeah.
100% Conquer's M. And it's calm
86,
too.
by the way.
It's
86.
calm. Yeah, so 0.14 squared. That's fun. That's a really low number. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Most value Conquer's M. But yeah, so I know your CV is right there. I'm trying to hit it with the Pivonka, which...
So, and this is a bit of the trick, is as soon as you spot it, it's actually not right there. And if you look down a bit, you can look at where I have it. It's in the forests.
Oh.
Right next to where your guy was.
It's already moved.
And so
Very nice.
I was, in the chat like, oh no, you're hitting my CV.
Mind
the fake
games.
out. Yeah.
Oh man. By the way, every time I try and use, like, I don't know how many times I've had infantry that have been somewhere and they get overexposed and somebody sends a hind. Every time I do, I get things like targeting system hit where I just can't hurt you anymore.
Yeah. Well, and then you
issue
just got a circle shot down by him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the issue with the Mi-24P, specifically in this context, is the gun that it has is not a turreted gun. So it has to point the entire helicopter in order to aim that cannon. So when you do end up in a situation where you're on top of the infantry squad, it's much, much harder for the Mi-24P to apply DPS to it. And additionally, because you don't have the rocket pods, you're relying on the gun for all that damage, and because you do have to point the helicopter, it can just be something that is not as consistent as you would like. This is not a problem that's present on anything that has a Yak B or anything that is a Mi-24 VP that has a turreted version of this autocannon.
Yeah, if you just click on the autocannon in the armory, click on the helicopter in the armory, you'll be able to see on the front of the gun if it swivels back and forth or if it's sticking out a door on the side and it's moving, then it's turreted. But if it's stuck on the front, like in this one, where you can see it's
Right
on
there.
the right side of the cockpit, yeah.
A little hard to see. There it is, right there.
That's under the pitot tube.
Yeah. So, oh man. Yeah, it's not the best choice for that, that's for sure. And then another criticism I think of my own play here is I could not keep anti-air alive to save my life. And that was a really big problem when you have somebody who is a bomber enjoyer. It's like, I just killed double stack of falls, right? And I have commandosi that are mostly healthy. sure, I paid for it with a Sokol, but the Commandos are at least fine, and then they're not, right? And that's just such a steep price to keep paying over and over. And I think, so partly in this game, I was testing out those Hinds as an anti-air supplementary helicopter, and I really just don't think it's worthwhile for that. It's not a reliable thing. Like, I took a couple of shots in at your other your other planes on that side. I got one hit. It was kind of nice, but it's very much not a replacement for a well-established, well-thought-out anti-air net.
Yeah,
So-
and like it's also worth noting that all of the troubles that you had came from one Fighting Falcon that I bought on the first tick,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in terms of air to ground, I think in that game I bought that and I bought an ASF.
Yeah.
And I used that for
And
pretty
you
much the whole
proceeded to
game.
bully a colonel with it for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's enough sometimes, right? That's enough. So what is my way back into this game, if there is one?
So, with a bit of hindsight, you can look at the overview of the map and you can see I put a lot of points into the 2-pointers. I put a lot of points into Boris, using that to put the
God.
T-72 that you just bought to push me out of the 1-pointer and to take that forest in between the like double 1-pointer and Boris. Gives you a way to basically pinch down on Boris and let you move in to get another point there. And that's,
Yeah,
if you look at it right now, that's a +3 swing for the ticking that we have right now, which would
I mean, that
make
does
it
go
so
a
that
long
it's
way.
even.
I almost think it's not quite as good as what you're saying there, because I mean, just looking at your perspective here, right? You've capped in an unusual location. If I get control here in Elena, your resupply is very short. And what you do is you lock down right here, and you lock down right here. And with that, it's actually harder to leverage into this section. Oh, I forgot. Bit of a jerk move.
Oh yeah.
I might put
I
import B
didn't put
insertion.
anything over there, so it was kind of on me.
Yeah,
Guess
well.
what air defense doing?
Yeah, it's actually really hard to leverage in this side, just as described, in my opinion at least, because you end up crossing this section of open ground. It's right next to your air spawn, so if I do that with anything expensive, it dies. And it's right next to easily reinforceable positions here and here, so even ATGMs, like you put an ATGM here, I have to extend out to shoot it.
I was more talking along the lines of your forest that you have.
So
that's
moving up here,
basically-
right?
Yeah, stretching out from that. So you move up just enough to
So-
basically lock down the side so that you get that space to move through.
Yeah, and that is a decent idea. It's just also that like having done this, I've tried this retake maybe 4, 5, 6-ish times, and it always ends up being a very bloody, very costly affair. Because when I'm doing this, you get something fast wheeled in, and you retake this section of town, and then I end up fighting against fire support from here, fire support from here even, infantry here, and the sight lines back this way are very tricky. So if I'm coming up from this side, this section of woods is thick enough to block line of sight so that I can't shoot in at your fire support. So then I have to come from over here, but you have an RBS here, RBS there, false Grimagri. If I'm attacking on this side, and my smoke micro lapses for even a second, that's a lot of dead. So it's actually a really dominant position for you, just for leveraging you out on this side. I think the best way to retake it is to not have lost this section, because then when I go for that push, then you don't have this RBS or that
Because
RBS.
I have 3 RBSs there just ready.
Yeah, I mean, just if you look at this, let me just point out, by the way, look at the amount of blue versus the amount of red on this. Like, very dominant game, man. Very well played. This is the game that is the reason that I vouched for you in the bootcamp Discord as well, because just very well played.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, kind of your ways back in are extremely limited, if not completely
Gone.
cut off.
Yeah,
You know, just
Rely
from
on a
the
bit of luck.
standpoint of, yeah, just from the standpoint of like, Wunth is in a position here where he can afford to trade ground. You know, if you do
Yeah.
try and push hard in the 1-pointers, it's a decision for Wunth to make whether he tries to defend that or not. Like you could really go into Elena, go hard like you said, and once again just decide, nah, I'm just gonna let that go because I can still maintain a tick as long as I hold the top of the 2-pointers.
Right, and I have to almost overextend here in order to do something fast enough as well. Like, I need to find the CV, I need to cap this, I need to kill everything here, and because of that I have to play fast and loose with the T-72S, along with, you know, just cheap infantry that is all I can afford to send, right? Like, when we were playing this game, I think we're going to see it in just a minute, I remembered looking over here, trying to deal with these, while my T-72 died over on that side too. I don't even know what. Oh yeah, to that.
RBS.
The RBS,
That was Nietzsche
which
can't kill
is
shit.
allowed to shoot out for some reason.
Yeah. But I mean, how can I really micro over there when there's Fenix, there's a lot of stuff over here, and this was entirely deserved because of what I did to your CV, by the way. I'm not even mad about it.
It was like 3 helicopters.
I know. It's entirely fine. Like, Maurice opens with twice this. Standard opener. But it's fine, because Mi-17s are just transports, right? Question mark?
Yeah, just a helo drop.
Right. So then I finally get an ASF online, and I think I do get the Fighting Falcon here.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's way too late. It is way too late. Yeah.
It still stunned your CV, so and that's another +2 that you have to make up.
Yeah. I like this CV, by the way.
I'm just curious what the KD is going to look like at the end of this game.
Oh, it's not in my favor.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like you have not been trading well here.
Yeah, very much not at all. And a lot of that's been helicopters.
Yeah. You're losing your helicopters to automatics or to IMGs.
Yeah.
I also like, and this is something that you kind of pass over even when you're playing. Losing a 10-point transport's like, oh, I lost my truck. It's no big deal. But once you lose your 11th truck and your 12th truck,
it adds.
4th autocannon, and you're right. Then it really adds up quick, and that's what ended up being so much of it as I could get.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Just keep hitting your stuff.
Right, like the Scout 2 APs are 15 points as well, and I've lost a lot of them, not to mention the 50 PKs. And the strength of Eastern Bloc, from what I've heard anyway, is cheap moat shoots in 5-pointers, and I've not been able to leverage that effectively because I'm giving away 10 points every time I bring him out, and I lose the 5-pointers, as you said. And then every time I do get success here, I just got bombed.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not great. By the way, this was an attempted gun run. I'm not proud.
You did 1 damage.
And then just get obliterated by that.
Yeah.
We got a stun. We got some suppression. And wait, hold on. Weren't they at 28? I think I got a couple of kills off it.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Yeah.
Not worth trading out your ASF.
Worth.
No.
Yeah, no, not worth it at all. But I mean, the other thing too that was a little bit overlooked is I did sweep through this side, and this is something you should be aware of because basically I'm convinced there's one way to retake this section and one way only, which is what I just did to you. Which is basically you get some forces here, sure, but forces here get shot from across the way, they get shot from up here. The way, in my opinion, to retake this, and I did this against Mint Jellyman of all people, by the way, so it has worked for me before, is you get special forces and you go through here at the same time as you come down from here, and you attack into this town in particular, because you get a lot of surprising forest cover from the buggy forest on this side, and then while you're doing that, you get your IFVs to about there. All of a sudden, this spot's no longer so safe to shoot in from, because when this is coordinated well, you have fire coming from here, fire coming from here, you'll get occasional cheeky side shots, and you'd be surprised how quickly special forces can cover the ground into the towns. So if you take this from me again sometime, I 100% will try to retake it the same way. Special forces, short distances, into the town, killing your IFVs if I can, and it's really hard to deal with. Really hard. This is why I said earlier, you know, I wish I had bought Commandosi instead of that overpriced ATGM and a Mi-17. That's part of why, is because I had wanted to leverage you out of the town like that, and just didn't have the appropriate tools. So, as we do draw to a close here, I mean, at this point, I think I'm pretty much toast.
Because even then, you recaptured Dimitri, but
yeah.
The points that you have to reinvest to start ticking again you'll not be able to make up a 300-something point gap.
No.
In that time.
No, even if my CV here was alive, this would be neutral, which is better than losing at +2, but yeah. Anyway, very nice game. Thank you for being on for commentary. I really appreciate it. And thank you to Bikefish as well, sort of just sitting there watching the chaos unfold and then giving some extra pieces of advice and wisdom. I very much appreciate it. And let's get into the KD just for a second, and we'll wrap things up. So let's see. Yeah, I didn't even have time. I just got yeah, 31-30 to 20-40.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's a big ouch. That's a very big ouch. In fact, I think it's about the same KD as yesterday's video with Flowers. About 1,000 point discrepancy there. And actually, I think Flowers was probably closer to winning it than I was, even though eventually it was lost on tick versus I surrendered the board
it's
position.
Also, after just watching the video from Flowers that you had, the game on Flowers went to time, or it went a lot closer to time anyway.
Yeah.
And so you're looking at a whole extra, almost 1,000 points worth of income.
Right.
That extra time.
What this says right now is that pretty much most of my stuff, well, let's see. So 30 minutes in plus the opener, roughly 4,000 points on the board. Over 3/4 of my stuff died. That is not good.
Yeah.
Hey, man, thank you for the fun game. I really appreciate it. And I hope you give me another loss or two that I can post to the channel pretty soon, man.
Yeah.
That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.